Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a bit of a personal audit. It's a question that feels really basic, but the more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable I got.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
You brush your teeth every morning, right?
I certainly hope so. Twice a day, floss, the whole routine. Yes.
Exactly. It's totally non-negotiable. You wouldn't even think of walking into a meeting with morning breath. We have dental hygiene down. We have physical hygiene.
Showers, skincare, all of it.
But here's the question that tripped me up. What is our mental hygiene routine?
That is the missing link, isn't it? We just wake up, check our phones, let the whole world just flood in, and then at night we just collapse. We don't really wash the mind.
We don't. We treat our minds like a Dropbox where anyone can leave a package, not a clean room we need to maintain. And that's why I was so interested in today's source material. We're looking at a book that is, well, essentially a toothbrush for your brain.
I like that analogy.
It's called Morning and Evening Thoughts by James Allen.
Ugh. James Allen. A heavyweight. Most people know him for As a Man Thinketh, which is basically the constitution of the whole self-help movement.
Right, but this book from 1909 is different. It's not just theory. It's structure.
It's a manual.
It is. It's set up as a month-long devotional. 31 mornings and 31 evenings. And the whole premise is that if you can control the bookends of your day, the very beginning and the very end.
You can change the entire trajectory of your life.
Exactly. He thinks the morning sets the sail and the evening clears the deck.
And if you miss those two windows, you're just sort of drifting.
So the mission for this deep dive is to see if this 1909 system actually holds up. Can we really architect our lives just by changing how we wake up and go to sleep?
Let's find out. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the core philosophy, because Allen throws us right into the deep end.
Yeah.
Immediately.
He does not waste any time.
Not at all. In the entry for the second morning, he lays down this concept that I found, honestly, a bit confronting. He writes, "Mind is the master power that molds and makes." And then he drops this rhyme. "He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass."
Environment is but his looking glass. That phrase is the cornerstone of his entire worldview.
Okay, but let's pause on that. Because when I read that, my immediate reaction is pushback.
I can imagine.
It sounds like he's saying everything that happens to me is my fault. If I get laid off or the economy crashes, is Allen saying I created that? It sounds a little like victim blaming.
That's a very common reaction, especially for modern readers. It does feel harsh. But I think we have to look at how he defines environment.
Oh.
He's not saying you telepathically caused the stock market to crash. He's saying that your experience of that crash, the chaos or fear it produces in your life, that is the reflection of your internal state.
So the event itself is neutral, but the shadow it casts is mine.
Precisely. Look at the 12th evening. He says, "You are the creator of your own shadows." Shadow only exists if you're standing in front of the light, right?
Right. You're blocking the light.
The object blocking the light is you, your anxieties, your attachments. If you remove that internal blockage, the shadow just disappears, even if the event is still there.
That's a huge distinction. So it's a strict law of cause and effect.
It's mechanics to him. He calls it the law. Thoughts are seeds. If you plant corn, you get corn. If you plant anxious thoughts,
you harvest a chaotic life.
He says the outer world of circumstance shapes itself to the inner world of thought. So if you want to change the reflection, you have to change your face. You can't just wipe the glass.
Which brings us to the how, the morning routine. If the mind's the engine, this is how we start the car. And his version is very different from the drink water, do 20 burpees advice we get today.
Yes, very few burpees in 1909. He starts with the atmosphere of the mind.
In the first morning, he talks about the right beginning. He says, the right beginning of the day will be followed by a cheerfulness permeating the household, and the whole day will be well lived. But honestly, cheerfulness, is that really a strategy? It sounds a bit like toxic positivity.
I don't think he means a fake panted-on smile. Allen treats cheerfulness as a duty, almost like a military discipline.
A duty?
Yeah, think about the alternative. If you wake up grumpy, which, let's be honest, most of us do.
I'm definitely a hit snoozing grunt person.
Right. And in that state, you're essentially polluting the household. You're pouring toxic waste into the communal water supply before you've even had coffee.
It's home.
And Allen would say that hour of grunting has already set your trajectory. The rocket's launched in the wrong direction. He says we need to cultivate a sunny influence, not just because it feels good, but because it greases the gears for the whole day.
He has a specific challenge on this in the fourth morning. And this is where I realize this book is actually quite difficult.
The challenge of the tongue.
Yes. He writes, when the speech has become harmless, pure, gracious, then is the second great lesson in truth learned. He wants us to resolve, before we even get out of bed, that no word will be uttered today that isn't sincere and true.
Imagine trying to do that in a modern office.
I am trying. No complaining about the boss, no gossiping about the guy in accounting.
No snarky comments on the email chain. It sounds impossible, but that's the deep dive here. Why do we gossip? Why do we snap?
Because our mind is untamed.
Exactly. Alan's saying, set the intention. Today, my tongue is harmless. If you just did that one thing, imagine the energy you'd save.
It's a preemptive strike.
Mm-hmm.
And that connects to the 10th morning where he talks about focus. He uses this phrase I love. Focus your thought forces by cultivating calmness and repose.
Repose. That is such a beautiful, underused word.
It sounds like taking a nap.
It's actually the opposite. Repose is power under control. Think of a scattered light bulb versus a laser beam. The laser is calm, steady, but it cuts through steel.
So anxiety is scattered power. Repose is focused power.
That's it. The morning routine isn't about getting pumped up. It's about tuning the instrument. You don't play the symphony yet. You just make sure the strings aren't loose.
Okay, so we've tuned the strings. We've resolved to be harmless and cheerful. Now we enter the battlefield of the day.
Which is where most of us fall apart.
Exactly. Good intentions at 7 a.m., but by 2 p.m., we're stressed, we're procrastinating.
And we're living in the future, worrying about the deadline, the next meeting.
Alan has a remedy for this, and it's one of the most philosophical parts of the book, the concept of the eternal now.
This is critical. He addresses what he calls perpetual postponement. We all have that internal monologue, right? I'll be happy when I get the promotion.
I'll be a better parent when work calms down.
I'll be my best self later.
Always later.
Right. And Alan says, say to yourself, I will live in my ideal now. I will be my ideal now.
But let's play devil's advocate. Isn't that just faking it? If I'm an anxious mess, standing there saying I am calm feels like a lie. If I'm not successful yet, saying I am successful feels delusional.
I love that you brought that up because he uses a metaphor in the 22nd evening that completely reframes this. He talks about the acorn.
The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg.
Exactly. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Think about the acorn. When it's in the dirt, it isn't faking being an oak tree. The oak is its nature. It's encoded in its DNA. It just hasn't unfolded yet.
I see.
Alan argues your ideal self, that confident, calm, generous you, isn't some fantasy you're trying to staple onto yourself. It's the acorn. It's already in there.
So acting as if isn't deception, it's revelation.
Yes. You're aligning with your true nature. If you wait for external circumstances to be perfect before you act like your ideal, you will wait forever. You have to be the oak while you're still in the shell.
That's a tough shift. It demands you stop waiting for permission to be the person you want to be.
Now is the accepted time, he says. The future is a ghost. You can only act now.
All right, let's move to the end of the day. The sun's going down. The evening entries are, in my opinion, the most therapeutic part of this whole system.
I agree. Many of us carry the stress of the day right into our sleep, and that's why we wake up exhausted.
And Alan calls for a sacrifice.
He does. In the first evening, he says, there can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice. But he's not talking about sacrificing an animal.
No, thank goodness.
You are.
He's talking about sacrificing confused animal thoughts.
Right.
But why use that word sacrifice?
Yeah.
Why not just say, let go? Sacrifice implies giving up something valuable.
And that is the profound insight. We do value our confused thoughts. We value our anger. We value our self-pity.
That's true.
If someone insults you at work, you hold on to that anger like it's a treasure. You rehash it, you polish it. It feels important, Alan is saying. Put it on the altar and burn it.
So we have to treat our grievances as things to get rid of, not things to nurture.
Exactly. And in the fourth evening, he suggests a nightly audit, a moral inventory. You ask, how did I act? Was I unselfish? Not to beat yourself up. You do it to separate the wheat from the chaff. Keep the lessons, sacrifice the resentment.
It reminds me of that quote from the 12th evening. You desire, and then you grieve, renounce, and then you shall rejoice.
Renounce and rejoice. That is the paradox, isn't it? We think getting what we want is what makes us happy. Alan says the wanting is what makes us miserable.
The craving is the pain.
The moment you renounce, the moment you say, I don't need this to go my way to be okay, you are free. That's the rejoicing.
It's emotional decluttering. You're emptying the mind's trash bin so you don't sleep with garbage in the room.
And if you don't do that, the morning routine we talked about becomes impossible. You can't wake up fresh if you went to bed stale.
I want to pivot to the last piece of this puzzle. We've talked about the self, my mind, my morning, my evening. But Alan devotes a huge chunk of the later entries to how we deal with other people.
The social aspect, where the rubber meets the road.
Yes, exactly. In the 20th morning, he talks about sympathy. He says, sympathy given is blessedness received. Sympathy withheld is blessedness forfeited.
And we have to be careful with that word, sympathy. Back then, it didn't just mean feeling sorry for, it meant feeling with resonance.
He talks about rejoicing in the success of others, which is incredibly hard. If my competitor gets a huge contract, my natural reaction isn't hooray for them.
It's why not me?
Exactly.
And that's the envy that Alan says shrinks our world. If I can only be happy when I win, my chances for happiness are pretty slim. But if I can learn to feel the joy of your win, I've just doubled my happiness.
But let's talk about that competitor. In the 29th morning, Alan discusses competition. And frankly, his advice sounds a little naive.
How so?
He says we shouldn't let the word competition shake our faith in righteousness. He basically says, don't worry about the cutthroat guys.
It does sound naive if you look at it in the short term. In the short term, the person who cuts corners often wins. They get the sale.
Exactly. So if I'm being all righteous and reposed, and my competitor's lying to get ahead, am I just going to go out of business?
Ellen would argue you're looking at a snapshot, not the whole movie. He says, I can contemplate all dishonesty with undisturbed repose, for I know where certain destruction awaits it.
Undisturbed repose. He's that confident.
He views it as structural engineering. A building on a bad foundation might stand for a year or 10 years, but gravity always wins. He believes dishonesty introduces a flaw in the structure of a life, and it must collapse.
So you don't need to fear the cheater, you just need to not become them.
Right. Integrity is the only sustainable strategy. And beyond that, he warns about what the stress of hatred does to you. That's in the 15th morning.
Of the poem.
If men only understood that their hatred and resentment slays their peace, they would seek the better doing.
Slays their peace? That's such a violent image.
It is. When you're obsessing over a rival, you aren't hurting them. They might be on a yacht somewhere, completely oblivious. But you're slaying your own peace. You are drinking the poison.
So the social aspect isn't just about being nice. It's about self-preservation.
It absolutely is. You practice sympathy and integrity so that your mind stays a clean room no matter what your neighbors are doing. If you let them turn you into a resentful person, they've won. They've colonized your mind.
Wow. Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the whole system. We have this month-long devotional, but it really boils down to 3 main movements, doesn't it?
A daily cycle.
Step 1, the launch, the morning. But it's not just about waking up early. It's about the intent.
It's the right beginning. Cultivating cheerfulness as a duty, controlling the tongue, focusing your thought forces into that laser beam of repose.
Step 2, the flight, living in the eternal now.
Realizing that someday never comes. The oak is in the acorn. You have to embody your ideal self right now in the stress of the moment.
And step 3, the landing, the evening sacrifice.
The audit. Reviewing the day not to wallow, but to clean. Renouncing those animal thoughts of anger and greed, sacrificing them so you can sleep in peace and start the cycle over.
It seems like if you actually did this, I mean, honestly, rigorously, for 30 days, it would be impossible not to change.
It's a self-replenishing cycle. The 31st morning says sympathy bestowed increases its store in our own heart. The more you do it, the more capacity you have to do it.
It really flips the script on how we usually try to fix our lives. We try to fix the environment, change jobs, move cities.
We keep wiping the mirror, hoping the reflection will change.
But remember the core philosophy.
Environment is but his looking glass.
Which brings us to the thought I want to leave everyone with today. It's from the 8th evening, and I think it's the most challenging line in the entire book. It's 7 words that could save you a decade of therapy.
It puts the responsibility squarely back on our shoulders.
Alan writes, "If thou wouldst right the world, then right thyself."
We all want to right the world. We all have ideas on how other people should behave. But Alan says, stop, look in the mirror, fix the face that's reflected there.
If you fix the face, the reflection takes care of itself.
It's the ultimate empowering and terrifying truth.
So that's our challenge to you. Tonight, don't just crash. Try the evening sacrifice. Burn up the resentment. And tomorrow morning, before you say a single word, set the trajectory. Try to hack the bookends of your day. and see if the story in the middle starts to change.
It's a small experiment, but the stakes are your destiny.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.